Hello, I'm Amelia Mosley. Welcome to our BTN Special on the environment and sustainability. Here's what's coming up. A school that's getting down and dirty with Wormwee, saving seeds for the future, and could insects be the food of the future? You'll find out soon. But first up, we're going to meet some primary school kids who were worried about the amount of waste being produced in their school. So they came up with a plan and have made some pretty big changes. Check it out.
These kids are visiting local cafes trying to negotiate a discount.
Hello. Hello, we're from North Adelaide Primary School and we were wondering...
But not for their own purchases.
Yeah.
They're hoping to get the owners to offer customers a discount if they bring in their own reusable cup, rather than asking for a throwaway one.
Because those are not recyclable, because they have a small amount of plastic in them.
Australia used to be one of the best countries in the world when it came to waste. But more recently, we haven't been doing so well. In fact, Australia is now one of the biggest producers of trash in the world, with 41 million tonnes of rubbish created every year. And half of that goes to landfill, where it can't be recycled. So these kids came up with a plan to start their own war on waste.
20-cent discount on your coffee.
Their first idea was to sell reusable coffee cups after seeing the damage throwaway ones do to the environment, as well as asking local cafes to offer a discount to customers who bring in their own cup. But the class are also doing a lot more things, and they've invited me back to the school to take a look.
First, I'm going to take you to our SLC unit store. Where's our SLC unit?
We were shocked by the amount of plastic bags and coffee cups that weren't being put into recycling and that weren't actually able to be recycled. So we as the SRC thought we'd do something about it. So we bought some of these calico bags and reusable bags and keep cups that we could use again.
We think these bags will help eliminate plastic because plastic bags take years and years to break down into the environment. These are keep cups, so you can take them and have your coffee in them, because the takeaway cups that you usually buy at the cafe, they're not recyclable, they're plastic, so we got these to help as well.
And Kasha, you said that you guys are having a nude food week, so tell me about that.
A nude food week is where you don't have any plastic wrappers. Like if you want a yogurt, you don't buy it in like one of those small squeezy packets. You get a big yogurt tub and you put them in small Tupperware containers. And hopefully that will reduce the amount of plastic and waste at our school.
They're also looking to try some other ideas too.
We're in talks with the council to get some compost bins so we can put our food scraps in there. So to stop food scraps from just going into landfill.
They hope their ideas will encourage more people to reuse and recycle, to keep the environment clean for all kids to enjoy in the future.
Wake up and smell the coffee.
Recycle!
Next up, we're going to a school that's found an unusual way to raise money. Forget lemonade stands, they've decided to sell Wormwee. And while that might sound, well, pretty gross, we found out that it's actually super useful. Take a look.
These kids have all got worms. Go on, show them. And these little wrigglers are their squirmy, slimy class pets.
I like seeing the worms, and on Wednesdays I like going over there, opening it up and seeing the worms, and whenever we put new worms in or make a new one, we always name the worms when we go in.
You're probably pretty familiar with worms, but what you might not know is that there are more than 6,000 species of worm worldwide. The most common ones are about 10 to 15 centimetres long, but one Aussie species grows up to 3 metres. Yuck. Luckily, these are your average, garden variety, not terrifyingly huge earthworms. And it's the job of these guys to keep them happy.
we give them the fruit scraps from each classes, so we've got to just look inside before. So we want to make sure there's no meat, there's no citrus, there's no onions, just checking through and make sure there's absolutely no plastic. And with our challenge that we're doing, we would like to do to make sure that if there's any whole fruit, that will not go in, so we just put it in our compost.
Worms are nature's recyclers. As a worm moves through the soil, they like to eat a lot. And some species eat their entire body weight every day, munching through everything from kitchen scraps to dead leaves and branches. And what happens to all of their food?
Once they finish eating the fruit, they'll make the worm juice.
Yeah.
Well, worm juice is made out of pee and poo from the worms.
Ugh. Ugh. No.
What the worms do is that they eat it, and then when they do their business, that's where the compost comes out.
While it might sound disgusting, the wormwee is full of nutrients, something that plants find delicious. And for these kids, it is money in the bank.
We sell these community at the school, so like the parents, if they're picking up kids from the school or even before school or after assemblies.
And while some of the profits go back into the garden, the rest goes to a worthy cause.
I think 51% of our profits go to the Australian Conservation Foundation to help save the oceans, because we're really passionate about that.
So the Hubble worm is more useful than I first thought. And now I know that I can use wee to get rich. I might get worms too. Wee for sale!
Wee for sale!
Who wants wee? Wee! You want wee? Wee for sale!
Now, we're often hearing about people working to save endangered animals, but what about endangered plants? There are lots of Aussie species that are in trouble, and one school in Perth is doing their bit to help out. Let's find out more.
These kids are Australia's next generation of seed superheroes. They're suited up and on a mission to save our native plants from the brink of extinction. That sounds dramatic, but it's actually true. They're helping out the WA Seed Centre, which collects and stores thousands of seeds from different plant species.
There's over 400 plant species in Western Australia that we consider to be threatened with extinction, and that's a significant number of plants.
Seeds are basically plant embryos with a protective coating over the top, where they rest until conditions are right to grow into a new plant. That makes them ideal for storing in seed banks. They exist all over the world. The biggest one is in Norway and holds more than 1 million different types of seeds. They're kind of like an insurance policy, making sure that these species can be regrown if something bad happens. Like natural disasters, outbreaks of disease, climate change, or even war. The WA Seed Bank concentrates on native plants that are only found in Western Australia, both by storing seeds for the future and replanting them in the wild to help the species grow again. But they need lots of seeds to do that, and that's where these kids come in. They've been given seeds of a plant called Showy Everlasting. It's only found in 4 places in the world, and all of them are in Western Australia. It's up to them to plant the flowers in their school garden, help to care for them, and eventually harvest the seeds so they can be stored in the seed bank.
The kids almost adopt these plants, and it's almost like having a pet.
So this is basically the fun way of learning. Instead of just like watching videos and finding out about it, instead we could actually do it in real life and experience it, and that gives us another job opportunity. Like we could become a scientist.
Collecting seeds from plants can be tricky because you have to know where the seed head is. On flowers, that's usually the middle bit, and it's ready to harvest when the flower starts to die off. In nature, they're often picked up by birds or blown around in the wind, and that's how plants spread. Here at the school, these kids are proud that they're helping to protect the future of native plants.
I think the school is playing an important role because they're basically like saving the seeds, and if we don't do this, they might go extinct.
Because the plants, they help us breathe and stuff, so like if we run out of them, then like future generations won't get to see like the amazingness of the plants.
Saving the world one seed at a time.
Now, when I say bugs, I'm betting your first thought isn't, delicious. But you know, there are actually a lot of people who reckon we should be eating more insects because they're good for us and good for the planet. Let's find out more.
Hey, 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 happy birthday. I brought cake.
Yes! Oh, yummy!
Cake time. Whose birthday is it?
It's cake.
Cake!
Yeah, cake. Now, what if I told you that this cake was made with bugs?
Are you serious?
Happy birthday. Food scientists in the Netherlands have been working on a new type of butter made from the fat of lots and lots of wriggly larvae. It's blended up, then put in a big spinning machine which separates the fat from all the other stuff. And you're left with this. Butter. Well, sorta. Turns out it didn't exactly taste like regular cow's butter, so they mixed in some of the good old-fashioned stuff to keep it tasting tasty. And no one could tell the difference. In fact, there are heaps of people all around the world making lots of stuff from insects. And while it might not sound that appealing at first, experts reckon there's a lot of reasons why bugs could be the food of the future.
Well, Nat, I think there's a lot of reasons why bugs could be the food of the future.
This is Chris. She knows a lot about bugs.
Bugs are really nutritious. They're good for you. They don't use a lot of water, in fact, hardly any water. You can feed them on waste product food, like so the offcuts from fruit and vegetable peelings from kitchens and stuff like that. They can also be farmed in a really small space, so you can have layers of bugs and farm them inside and produce huge amounts of protein in a really short space of time.
Okay, so bugs are pretty nifty little critters. Traditional livestock like cows or chickens take a long time to grow, and in the process they eat a lot of food and water. In parts of Australia that don't have much of either, insect farming might be the answer. In fact, scientists say that as the population grows, we need to start thinking about different sources of food. And these guys are pretty tasty.
Well, look, obviously you can just cook a bug and eat it. You can't do that at home though. You have to do it in a way that is, appropriate for human consumption. You can't just collect them from your garden and do it. But I think the way we'll eat bugs in the future, they won't look like bugs.
Well, there's definitely a bit of a stigma around eating crickets. So I found when I was holding that cricket up in my mouth, looking at it, trying to eat it, I was like, what is this? But once you break that stigma of actually getting it in your mouth, you're like, it's just normal food.
So how can we make bugs more appetizing?
Pretty good. Well, Nat, I think the best way to make them appealing to people is to make them not look like bugs. So most of the way that we'll eat bugs in the future will be as a protein powder that is a food additive. So you might be able to have a corn chip that has got bug protein powder in it, and you won't taste the bugs, you won't see the bugs.
Well, that sounds pretty delicious to me. So what about you guys? Would you eat bugs?
Yes, I would eat bugs, but I would only eat a real one for some money, like $2.
If it was the last thing in the world, I might, but not an optional thing.
If I had to, I would do it. I would actually like to do that sometime, to try something new.
If it was the last thing on earth, I would eat it, and who knows, it might be tasty.
Oh well, it seems like we've still got a little way to go before we'll all be having bugs for breakfast.
And that's it for our special on the environment and sustainability. For more info on all of our specials, including heaps of teacher resources, just head to our website. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.